July 8th meeting of the West Memphis Utility Commission to order. The first item on the agenda is approval for the June 10th, 2021 meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the minutes.
We have a motion to approve the minutes by Mr. Holmes, second by Mr. Brown. Any additions or deletions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes are approved. Next item is the June safety report. Good morning, all.
Our numbers still looking good. We're 240 days since last reportable injury and 620 points. That's our last lost time. Previous record, 2019, 742 days. So we're on good track. Goose eggs on everything else from here. Good. Our June monthly safety meeting covered rationalizing unsafe choices. And it's just discussing why we make some of those choices. Doing everything right and by the book as far as safety just doesn't come natural sometimes. Time pressure constraints, get a job done, lack of supervision around at the job, sometimes lack of enforcement of rules, energy levels, moods, that influences that rationalization to make a poor choice, take a shortcut. And sometimes that becomes the normal thing to do. And when that kind of culture sets in, that it makes it difficult for everybody. And I will say that our numbers are reflecting that. I think we are turning the culture something where everybody's very aware. We would have probably had some incidents by now. So very proud of what our employees are doing in that regard. I think this behavioral kind of discussion will help making them realize their part. Other than that, that's all I've got. You guys got any questions?
Thank you. Keep up the good work. Next item is the personnel update.
All right. You can see we had two changes last month. We had one new hire in the office. We hired a cashier in that department, and we had a involuntary resignation in the water department. Again, we're continuing to look for these areas. This area actually next month will probably, hopefully, will have 0 open positions, but this meter department position will, because we had a transfer that happened at the very beginning of the month, where a meter department employee transferred to the office. But that position there, we're going to look at with the potential, as y'all know, we're still working on the contracts for our AMI. So we're probably not going to even try to fill that position at this time, with the thought that potentially those positions might go away instead of backfilling and then immediately. The two areas I have the biggest concern are the water and the electric. Trying to fill those positions, just not getting the candidates in that are coming in for the pay currently. Hopefully that will change, but some of those positions, one in the electrical, we have just we've not filled. Over time, I've asked them not to fill and hadn't needed the personnel. I can tell you, we are working on our salary survey with our AMPA group. Ms. Coleman is on that committee trying to work on that, and hopefully we'll have that salary survey back to this body by September. That's my understanding, so where we can start to look at it. This is a Todd Peterson opinion. I think we're going to have to start to make some changes. I think we're going to have to adjust. The job market and across the region is drastically changing to get folks in here. So I think that's going to show it, and we're going to have to make some adjustments. things that'll help us is, you know, we are able to right now do the work with less people, so we might have to cut some positions to help offset our added cost, okay? But we'll have to see how to address that. Any questions?
Good. Okay, thank you, Scott. Next item is what wet wipes are doing to our collection system.
Good morning, everybody. In your packet, you should have a copy of a bill insert that will be going out this month and all the utility bills about, quote, flushable wipes. This is a problem that goes across the United States. In fact, some cities and states have even sued the manufacturers that produce this. And as far as I know, it's still in court because we have such issues with them. We've always had some issues with the wipes, but it seems like lately that we've had a tremendous amount. We have 2 pump stations that have shown that given us trouble with wipes. Pump station 37, which is located on the old hospital property, actually serves residential people on Jackson. It comes through. We've had to burned 1 pump up, and we now have a demo pump in there that actually shreds the wipes. So we're looking at that, and probably we'll end up getting something like that permanently. Station 17, which is on Macaulay and 14th Street, has 2 pumps. At this time, both pumps are burned up because of the wipes, and it is running on the auxiliary pump. Like I said, this is not something new. We think maybe we've seen it go up because of the pandemic, but because of the toilet paper shortage, but it's something that is causing trouble in our wastewater lines all in the city. So we're trying, about the only thing that we can do is try to educate people. There's no way to enforce, the laws are final. But believe me, if it's happening so much to us as the city, it's happening to everybody in the city that uses them. And when they mix with grease, they're even worse. The picture, one of the pictures on the handout with just the wipes and stuff, once they mix with grease, they're called fat burns because it just even makes it more difficult to clean out. So we're going to be trying to educate the citizens of West Memphis about this problem and see if we can somehow get it under control. So this will go out in this month's utility bills. So if anybody has any questions. Okay.
The picture with on the left?
Yes.
Is that a pump that's been taken apart or a pump
Yes.
that's exploded or?
No. Pump station, I believe that one did come out 37. One time when they cleaned it. I mean, right now we're just this pump station 37 has been the worst. And it has multiple apartment complex that goes into it. And like I said, it's burned up. But all our guys right now can do is just when we have an issue, take them apart and just try to clean it. But some of it is so bad, that won't fix it.
And you said something about installing something that could shred these things up?
The pump that we have on loan demonstration is in pump station 37, and it actually kind of shreds it, I guess, to the point where Todd would know more than I would about that.
It somewhat shreds it, but it also, when it gets clogged, starts to get clogged up, it actually then tells it spins backward and shoves it back out of the way from the pump, and then starts the pump back up. But it's still in the wet well then.
Yeah.
So it's again, what this is doing is just called, our guys are out there, once a week. This station, and just to let y'all know, the main areas you're talking about is, y'all know the villas, which is a kind of it's It's off of Jackson on the north side. It's a retirement area.
Kind of,
I
yeah.
guess it has an apartment facility complex plus some
Yes.
houses.
Yes.
This station that she was talking about, that's the only facility that it serves. That station was installed because of that whole complex, and it kind of all comes to that area. And it was just, it's one of those things, they were over there every day. We actually had somebody come in and clean the whole wet well out, and then just a few days later, it was clogged up again. The issue is, yes, we have this on demo, and it's working great. It's been in service now for about 2 or 3 months, okay? But that's a cost. Am I going to have to go through town and replace all my pumps with this new pump? Because, again, I think it's, if you ask, it's not only West Memphis. I hear that, and every pump manufacturer will tell you, oh, I got a pump that can take care of it, but it's, well, okay, let's put,
Who's suing the manufacturers?
There's several states and city. What comes to mind, I believe New York maybe, and North Carolina are the two, I think.
Because they are advertising that
That
their
they are
lights are
flushable.
flushable, and they're
Yes,
not.
and they're not.
So they're flushable, they just don't.
Yeah, they flush, they just don't go in. Yeah,
But sometimes they'll have a disclaimer or something, it's small, right?
we
yeah,
hope.
Have you noticed that?
yeah, they do, they're flushable, but, actually, they're not good. I know, they put a very small scope.
Yes,
Some other cities I know have actually asked that they cannot be sold in their city limits, but
Yeah.
what good does that do?
I mean, how do you stop people?
I mean,
So how are we gonna educate our
Well, like I said, these are going up in the utility bills this month, and then we'll just kind of continue, maybe put something on the city webpage and stuff like that. It's kind of like the grease. When residential is your problem, as with grease and whites, there's no way for us, to enforce it. So all we can do is try to educate people to the fact that even though they say they're flushable, they are flushable, but they don't
There's a
break
lot of
down.
things there's a lot of things you can flush, but
Yes,
we wish
yes.
you don't flush it.
Have we done anything with the villas to try to educate their people since this is an isolated?
Have you,
I even went there, on site, I never could get anybody to call me back or every time I went there, they weren't there in the office and stuff, so no, I have not had a chance. But, since this is such a common problem all over the United States, everybody should have heard, doesn't mean we shouldn't talk to them, but everybody should have heard, this already and know that they cause a problem. But we will try our very best to try to get a hold of them and tell them. It's kind of like the Station 13A or Plaza that has the grease issue. They're even seeing some white issues there, and it just feeds an apartment complex.
Are there daycares in that area?
No, ma'am.
There are no daycares?
No, ma'am.
Because when you think in terms of flushable wipes, you're gonna usually have babies or children, and if the message can be targeted where you're gonna have babies or children, they're gonna tell their parents or their caregivers,
Ms.
you
Brown,
can't use that even though it reads and so.
I don't think that that's necessarily an issue. I think when we started seeing the shortage of toilet paper,
You think it's more than?
yes, ma'am, it's been a problem all along, but I think when we were all kind of having to stay home and there was such a shortage of toilet paper and stuff,
So
that
you think
people
it's just
started.
for a while? It's not gonna-
well, I think adults have started
Yes.
using them.
Yes,
I do. I know.
Yes, they
That's what I
are.
was gonna say was, I don't think your daycare contributes nearly as much
As
as the
adults
rest of
do.
it.
And,
Because I've seen people buy those things up, my
yes,
in-laws.
yes, and they'll try to flush those too. It's just not the, it's sanitized wipes, that you use Clorox wipes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
question, this shreddable pump, what does that shredding do when it gets to the treatment plant?
Okay, and that's the thing. if you notice, that's one of the things, this is not affecting like Station 8 or Station 9, our large, big pumps.
Yes.
Because they have a bigger flute to let the white pass. Where this is happening is all the mid-sized to smaller stations, because the whites, you can see they become a rope. I mean, if we brought that in here, you cannot tear that. It becomes a big just rope. So, but the bigger pumps, it's still large enough for the rag to pass. And then when it gets to the plant, we have a bar screen that catches everything. I know of cities that are literally the inlet to their pumps putting bar screens in pump stations because of this issue. But again, it's an added cost, and I can fix it. The citizens don't want me to pay to fix it though. Because that's the bottom line, is the cost associated with this is large. Okay, there is an engineering fix. It's a very large dollar engineering fix.
Maybe those new pumps.
Well, that new pump will cost me probably around $12,000, that one. And I can tell you, I have 40 pump stations in the city because we're so flat. And I have 2 to 3 pumps in every station.
Wow.
And that's just the cost of the pump, okay? That's not cost of installation, or if I got this type of pump that doesn't bolt up properly, I gotta modify the piping in the plant, in the station. It's just,
It's a big problem that we.
yes, and it can be easily solved. Don't put them in your toilet, okay, please. If you like them, that's great. They need to go in your garbage can.
Is this the only information that's gonna be placed in?
Yes, sir.
Right
This
now.
month, yes, sir.
It needs to be explained to some older people, they may not.
Well, and the other thing I was thinking was, wipes can cost thousands of dollars of repair bills, and it can cause sewer backups.
Yeah.
Right, and it
To
can.
your house.
I tried to, I tried to go in here, this was me. Denise had a very long,
Yeah, I
and
did.
I guess sometimes people look at it and go, that's a lot of words. I tried to go and make it very simple. Guys, you see what I'm saying? Catch something that they can pick up, look at, because I know when I get an insert in a lot of my bills, I know what I do with them.
Go away.
Oh, another flyer.
Yeah.
Now it's different than coming from us because we're not trying to sell them a product.
But if people know it's going to eventually cost.
And that's what we were trying to, this is step one. If we want to add even more and start doing these in multiple months,
We can do that.
Yeah.
We can kind of do the bills because we don't have inserts, a lot of the
Right.
times. So we're
'Cause it's
to
an added
the point
cost
where
as
we
well.
could do it, several months, just to try to even, get it across. And I can come up with something, like Todd said, he didn't like my part because it's a little too wordy, and I understand.
There's a lot of
Because,
words.
yes, you look at that and say, oh, throw it in the trash, flush it down the toilet, So we can do it because we need to do it. But I want y'all to realize it's not just us. It's all over the United States and probably overseas as well. And so far, the only thing that we can do is educate people.
Well, I'll say this. A couple places I've been overseas, you don't even flush toilet paper.
Right.
Oh, okay, I haven't been overseas in a long time, so.
Yes.
Another way I think you guys get the awareness out, since this right here is the center point where everybody come to pay their bill. Put, like you had the poster out there that said lobby is open, put some of those posters out there out front, so when they see it, it's resonating in their mindset as they're sitting right there in line to pay the
And
bill.
also the social media.
Right. And we're gonna get with Nick.
Yeah.
That's some of the other stuff too. I agree.
Right.
Good suggestion.
Put some in the rope, so.
Yeah. Get a piece and give it to everybody.
I can tell you, I didn't bring it here, and now y'all don't want me to bring it
I know.
here.
No,
But
really.
that'll get their attention.
Yeah, but y'all don't want me to bring it here.
Instead of the cords or the
Yeah.
fuse, put ropes on them. Okay,
Anybody else?
thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Okay, the next item is, the 2020 financial audit. Put the smile on her face.
I guess, starting with this, in y'all's packet, y'all had the audit, and we can go through it line by line, and just to give you a heads up, I know in previous years, the auditor came, but because of the rules, due to independence reasons, they are not allowed to attend these board meetings anymore, because it's not her numbers, it's our numbers. So that's the reason the auditor who did it. So if you have questions concerning the audit, they're to be directed through us. That we can go back and to our auditor and follow back up if you have questions. But just quickly going over the numbers, if you want, going to page 7, y'all can see in operating revenue, we actually lost last year, 2020, $843,000. The main reason for that loss is depreciation. Our depreciation expense has been booked at 2.5, okay? Also last year, our sales were way down. As y'all know, sales were way down. We actually also had a couple months where, because we did not charge late fees for 3 months, so that's revenue that was down also. Page 7, at the bottom it says 7.
It's page 6 and then it's a blank and then the next page is 7.
At the bottom, yeah, that's it. Yeah, you can see operating income, a negative 969,870, and then we had the interest income, which left us at $843,651.
So
Loss.
basically, if we were for profit, that would have been our net position for the year, negative $843,000.
Correct.
Doesn't matter whether it's for profit or non-profit.
Yeah, and you can see the 2019, we had 26,861,000 in, for service, for electric sales, and you see what it was in 2020. I mean, it was $3 million lower, $3.5 million lower in sales of electric at that top line on that page. Other is,
Late fees
No, I think that's like the temporary services, pole attachments, things like that.
just oddball stuff.
so there could be either like or what,
Yeah, but it's,
but it's not.
yeah, other also is, the 40 cents that we charge for per meter for, that's other. The $1 that we charge for the mosquito fee, that's other. So, yeah, if you have a sprinkler system, that actually, we charge that gets put under the other column because of the way it's coded. So, but that's the net position on the revenue versus expenses. If you flip to the next page, that is the cash. Go ahead.
When you come down under operating expenses, our purchase power, in a sense, was like 2 million less.
Correct. Yep.
And then our transmission charges were 100,000 more.
Yep.
Any rationalization?
Transmission is based on, transmission cost is based on your peak. And it's prorated over each system based on their peak. But also, as cost of goods go up, cost of building transmission goes up. That does not stop. It is not related directly to energy sales. So, yeah, that number, like I said, the only way to change that number is by changing our peak. In other words, as the whole system is peaking, we would, if we're like, okay, the system is peaking right now, let's turn the power off in the city. That would be a very,
Well,
that would not be, I wouldn't do that, but I'm just,
it's like a lot of things. We pay
our pro rata share.
share for the highest point so we can transmit that.
That's exactly
Whether we
right.
use it or not.
That's it.
Gotcha.
So the system peak is here, and this is what our percentage of that was, and we're gonna pay that percentage share. That's because we're a NITS customer. All right. The next page is cash, and I'll just scroll down. If you say net increase or decrease in cash, you can see we had a decrease in cash of $3.8 million. And you go, holy camoly. We spent, as you know, at the end of the year, last 6 months, a lot of money on getting projects and getting sewer. $3 million of that, those dollars right there, were construction of sewer mains. So that was in the sewer system. Now with this audit, we're going to be submitting this to Stevens and getting that bond issue done, and we will be able to get reimbursed that cash for those expenses. The net position will not change, but the cash, we will have an increase in cash and it'll get replenished. Okay? Did I say that right, Mr. Gordon? Other than that, I don't, if you have questions, feel free to ask. It's, as y'all know, last year was a pretty tough year. Because sales were way down, with stuff being down. I think we did well managing it the best we could, and also helping our customers out when we could.
And I didn't see any.
It's a clean,
Yeah,
no violations, that's a very good thing to say.
Exceptions.
No violations or issues associated with the audit.
That's good.
That's the key, that's a very important thing to state. There was no violations or issues in association with the report.
Any further questions? Do we need a motion to accept?
So moved.
Mr. Holmes moves we accept. Mr. Smith moves to second. Any further questions? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes to approve the audit. Next item is approved consulting firm to do feasibility study on West Memphis Utility providing internet.
Ward showed up just in time. Here you go.
Much rather be here than where I was.
Boy, it must be tough wearing personal protection.
Such a hurry to get here. So we've been encouraged by many throughout the community and ourselves to look at broadband, the feasibility of us getting into broadband and the federal money that's coming out to all the communities for economic development and to recover from COVID includes a lot of money for broadband. The feds, and they're really behind this so much that they've changed their criterion for who's eligible. It used to be communities that were not served. And I was on a call with Dwayne yesterday with the Municipal League, and the governor was on, and he's really behind this, and they all made a point they made the point out that the feds have changed the definition now to communities that are underserved. And the governor's comment was, almost everybody in Arkansas has got internet, but most of us have got bad internet. And so this is really receiving a lot of support and attention from the feds all the way down. So in preparation for maybe doing a project, we applied for a grant. Dwayne helped us with getting it submitted for funds to do a feasibility study. And the jury's still out on that. We got the grant in, we answered some questions last week. They have not come out with a timeline yet. They have granted a large number of requests already to a lot of cities across the state. So hopefully, I think last November, we made a drive for everybody to get on the internet and do a speed test. And I took the results from that speed test, quantified it, and it showed that 60% of the people who responded had poor service, did not meet the minimum threshold that's set by the FCC. And that threshold is going to be raised drastically. So even if you think you have good service now, in the near future, it may be quantified as bad, poor service. So in preparation, in anticipation of a favorable grant award, we had collected some proposals to do the feasibility study. When we needed that for our grant application anyway, to say how we're going to do this. And we got two, and they were both really good, and we went through the review, and the one here that is CCG came out just ahead of KT. Now KT is Katami Technologies, which is doing our AMI project. And they've got a lot of depth in it, and they're really good. But these CCG guys blew us out of the water with their proposal. They've done over 400 of these feasibility studies. They did the one in Clarksville, Arkansas. We talked in depth with Clarksville on, the results, how they liked it, their implementation, and they love these people. And I'd say that they're very thorough. They've got a lot of depth. They're hooked up with an engineering company. They have their own people that do surveys. A lot of times you contract that out. They've got in-house surveyors. They're going to come in, establish what's available, how much it costs, how many people use it, to kind of get an idea of what the market is, what's existing. Then they're going to do a residential phone survey, a business survey, and their own speed survey with their in-house staff. And from that, they'll come up with several scenarios. Well, you could run a backbone through here, or if you wanted to expand, the research shows that, how far we could go. They have the engineering company then that would give us a really good estimate. Well, if you did option one, here's what to expect. Here's what to expect for option two. And the door is wide open to not only doing the city limits, but the feds really look favorably upon helping any rural area that comes in near you. So, conceivably, this could reach out into the county a little bit. And then, what we really like, they give you a staffing. Okay, to provide these services, here's what you're gonna need. Here's your backup. So that's why we're recommending that should we get the grant, we'd like to move really quickly, and we'd like approval to move forward with CCG if we get the grant, so we can get the trigger pulled on that. So when the funds do come down, we'll be able to access them with a really good plan.
And again, our original thought was, hey, let's do this based on that we're getting the grant, so there's no budget amendment. This doesn't affect our budget negatively. If y'all, we might have to come back, because there is other monies for a build-out, okay, coming available. If y'all are willing to approve it just as is, whether we get the grant or not, because if we don't get the grant, I might be coming back to you and asking to do it without a grant. So I'm on, you know.
You have an idea of
The cost.
Yes, I do, but you can't make a decision based on.
We can't select them based on
because
the
these are
cost.
professional
They
services.
gave us a budget.
Yeah, but a budget amendment would have to be in the amount of, I'll just say around $70,000.
Yeah, that way we have an idea.
That's the budget amendment.
Right, I see.
Okay.
We didn't base our decision on that.
Yeah, this is strictly, this guy actually, we're talking to him and he helped with the Chattanooga, has
Yes,
helped with the
yeah.
Chattanooga project, which y'all know is a city that is,
That's the one that's held up with national.
yeah, he's been doing this for a bunch of years.
So moved.
I have a motion to move to proceed.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Holmes, the motion by Mr. Burns. Any further discussion?
Now, is your motion to approve based on receiving the grant or to move?
Just move on.
Okay,
Do the feasibility study.
do it, okay.
That's what
And
I-
so you're saying approving the feasibility, the UCCG to do feasibility and adjusting the budget?
If needed.
Okay.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
We've got an ace in the hole. If y'all don't know, he used to work for Time Warner.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, there's somebody else that knows quite a bit about, I think, networking stuff too. That's on our commission.
There's no wire or whatever to do.
I think he knows our network where stuff is a whole lot better than I do.
Okay,
All right.
anything else to come before us?
I have one thing and I added this to the end.
Okay,
Okay. So I went to a conference and I couldn't believe some of my ears that actually they were talking about how utilities, municipals, companies were coming in and approaching not the commission, but more approaching the city staff and wanting to buy the utilities, okay? And actually, there's been two utilities, they had about where independent financial groups are coming in and seeing and buying city municipals, okay? And there was been a couple where they talked about where they tried, and believe it or not, there's actually some that it has happened, okay? Where they see that large windfall of money coming to them at one fell swoop as potential. And one of the things they wanted to do, and I'm not saying that's going to happen here or that's even in discussions here, I don't want to lead y'all to that. But one of the things that they said is you need to tell about all the things your utilities is doing in the community, that is helping the citizens save money that you just do. You know, we know the utilities does a payment in lieu of taxes, and it's approximately $1.5 million per year. We know that dollar. But there's a lot of other things that we do that adds benefit to the citizens, that it would add cost to other departments that we're performing those duties. And and as a person who just goes out there and just does the work and then doesn't want to talk about it, I'm gonna try to each month talk about what our people are doing. I'm gonna just have a little one each month. If I sat here and listed all of the things we're doing every time, I'd be here a while. So I want to just each month talk about, and it's things that y'all might not be aware of that we're doing, that it helps save the citizens money, okay? And the one I picked for this month, okay, is, and I don't know if y'all are aware of this, but our utility mechanics that we have back here in the back, we have two guys back here, Sean Ryan and Ron Borelli. Two great guys, two great mechanics. You know, and again, when I'm talking about this, I want to talk about what our staff, because this is stuff the staff of the utilities is doing, okay? Our mechanics are not only, our two mechanics are not only maintaining the utility vehicles, they're also maintaining the vehicles for the fire department and the vehicles for the parks department, okay?
What about the parts?
Okay, the parts, okay, right, when we get the parts, what happens is, because our process, the way it works is, our mechanics go get a PO for every part they have to buy. So those parts are directly charged to those departments, so we don't pay for the parts.
Right.
Okay, yeah, those parts, like the fire department, the fire trucks and the ambulances and all that, those parts are charged to those departments. But the labor that we're paying, that's right, through the revenues of the city, or not, the revenues of the utilities from the sale of the goods, our mechanics are providing these services for those two departments.
I bet
at this
they're
time.
busy, aren't
I can tell you, I see red vehicles over there a whole lot more than I see white vehicles. And I think, and again, those guys, the chiefs for the fire department have been very complimentary of those guys, how well it's going. It helps the city shop has been hurt with some staffing issues, okay? And our guys have stepped up and taken that over and starting to do that. And I think it's something that, you know, those two guys have the expertise and the abilities. And, you know, it also, again, that allows, you know, the city doesn't now have to have as much staffing because we're able to maintain those, you know.
That's what they
And
say.
yes, because of the labor. I mean, mechanics and stuff for on diesel that have the ability to do that is, you know, again, as we talked, labor costs are continually going up and skilled labor costs are getting even more and more, you know. People want to get paid a certain wage for flipping a hamburger, and so that means my other jobs they're going up also. But that's one of the things, and again, I'll probably do this each month, okay? Just a little something that we're doing, you know, that the utility department staff is doing for the city. Like I said, I can sit here and talk about a bunch of things that we do.
You need to keep a list of those things.
I know, and I can sit there and give you a whole list.
Yeah.
I thought, you know, doing this once a month.
Well, that keeps it on everybody's mind.
Right, and this is, again, you know, here, street lights. And when I say street lights, traffic lights. The meter department is who's the one that maintains those. Now, the parts that are used are paid for by the city. But Maury Adams and her department is doing that. And I just said two. I think you just wanted to do one. I know, I need to stop.
Get on the road.
I know, I can keep going. I'm gonna stop.
In my mind, when you start talking about selling a increase efficiency or because there's been problems in the past. Those are the two the first thing that pop into my mind.
I'm gonna say this, the two that I know of, one of them was Jacksonville Energy Authority in Jacksonville, Florida, who had the lowest residential rates in the state, okay? But when somebody comes in and says, I'll give you $200 million, it's a major money windfall. And these are not the typical people coming in. These are companies that are, they're financial companies saying, man, I'll come in here and pay you all this money, and I see they look at the rates, they look at what it is, okay, I'll buy it for this amount, and then they can turn around and you no longer have control. And they again, not to talk bad about accountants can make numbers look however they want to. They can make them look one way. My point is, I can sit here and each month I'm gonna show y'all where, you know,
Tons of hidden value.
that's it. And I want to keep that in front of everybody. You know, there's a lot of value to this. And not even, and again, this is not because anything is going on within the city. I don't want to lead that on. This is more Todd doing something I normally do. I want to brag about I want to start bragging about what our people do. And I don't do that enough. People do their jobs and we do our jobs. And we need to start.
One people don't think about in that instance, that $200 million has to come from somewhere.
Oh, yeah. And it'll come from the citizens.
Yeah, well, and if it's such a good deal to buy it, they're willing to pay so much for it, then that means it's worth a lot, and you're losing that value.
Yeah.
So, I would like to piggyback on your deal for just a quick moment, since we don't say a few things about people. Ms. Danielle, I've seen you a couple of times outside of this building, and both times she has been quite a fabulous young lady. I appreciate you. Thank you.
And our offices are back open.
Yeah. I got a little pay.
I agree. I'm done. Sorry.
Good meeting.
Thank you. And Dana won't be here next month, and Ward will be presiding over the meeting. So I'll be at the office.
Anything else to come before us? I saw where we're participating in Touch a Truck.
We are.
Y'all haven't seen that. The city's got a back to school thing going, and it's called Touch a Truck. And they're gonna have police, fire, utility, and everything where the people can come in and see what it takes to operate their city.
For the kids.
Kids can come out and see
Yeah.
stuff. Anything else? Do I have a motion to adjourn? Who said that? Mr. Phelps. Second?
Second. Thank you.
Mr. Smith. Glad about that. We stand adjourned.